When you have seen scenes of poverty and squalor in many third-world countries, either in person or in pictures, have you ever wondered why we in America have been spared such a fate? When you have learned of the bitter oppressions that so many people have suffered under in despotic countries around the world, have you ever wondered why Americans have been spared? Have scenes of government-sponsored carnage and lethal mob violence in countries like Rwanda or in the Balkans ever made you wonder why such horrifying scenes are not found on the streets of America? Nothing is easier than to take for granted what we are used to, and to imagine that it is more or less natural, so that it requires no explanation. Instead, many Americans demand explanations of why things are not even better, and express indignation that they are not. Some people think the issue is whether the glass is half empty or half full. More fundamentally, the question is whether the glass started out empty or started out full. Those who are constantly looking for the root causes of poverty, of crime, and of other national and international problems act as if prosperity and law-abiding behavior are so natural that it is their absence which has to be explained. But a casual glance around the world today, or back through history, would dispel any notion that good things just happen naturally, much less inevitably. The United States of America is the exception, not the rule. Once we realize that America is an exception, we might even have a sense of gratitude for having been born here, even if gratitude has become uncool in many quarters. At the very least, we might develop some concern for seeing that whatever has made this country better off is not lost or discarded, or eroded away bit by bit until it is gone. Those among us who are constantly rhapsodizing about change in vague and general terms seem to have no fear that a blank check for change can be a huge risk in a world where so many other countries that are different are also far worse off. Chirping about change may produce a giddy sense of excitement or of personal exultation.
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg.
But, as usual, the devil is in the details. Even despotic countries that have embraced sweeping changes have often found that these were changes for the worse. The czars in Russia, the Shah of Iran, the Batista regime in Cuba were all despotic, but they looked like sweethearts compared to the regimes that followed. For example, the czars never executed as many people in half a century as Stalin did in one day. Even the best countries must make changes, and the United States has made many economic, social, and political changes for the better. But that is wholly different from making change a mantra. To be for or against change in general is childish. Everything depends on the specifics. To be for generic change is to say that what we have is so bad that any change is likely to be for the better. Such a pose may make some people feel superior to others who find much that is worth preserving in our values, traditions, and institutions. The status quo is never sacrosanct, but its very existence proves that it is viable, as seductive theoretical alternatives may not turn out to be. Most Americans take our values, traditions, and institutions so much for granted that they find it hard to realize how much all these things are under constant attack in our schools, our colleges, and in much of the press, the movies, and literature. There is a culture war going on within the United States, and in fact within Western civilization as a whole, which may ultimately have as much to do with our survival, or failure to survive, as the war on terrorism. There are all sorts of financial, ideological, and psychic rewards for undermining American society and its values. Unless some of us realize the existence of this culture war and the high stakes in it, we can lose what cost those Americans before us so much to win and preserve.